What do you say we just pop in live? We'll do it live. Screw it. We'll do it live. How's everybody doing? I'm Boston Brian. Welcome back to Blonde Politics, the political podcast to sift through the bullshit, the propaganda, and the lies of the mainstream media, Republican Party, Donald Trump, everybody you can think of, and basically just breaking it down for everyday working class individuals like yourself, like myself, because that's who's affected by these policies every day. I appreciate you guys for joining me once again. Thank you to everybody who showed up for this afternoon show. Thank you to the mods. I appreciate you. Salute. And thank you to everybody in the chat. Very happy and honored once again to be joined by a very special guest. I'm not going to waste any time here. Thank you to the chat. First off, Just Julie, Will, Petrazi, Susie, Triplia. Thank you so much, Debbie. You guys are the best. I appreciate you. Thank you, Jess. And like I said, I'm not going to waste too much time here. Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, co-host of the I Doubt It podcast, Jesse Dollemore, friend of the show. Let's go. Jess, how are you, my brother? How's everything?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on again. I'm surprised after I fucked everything up last time.
No, stop it. Come on, stop it. You did so well. Actually, you deserve another thank you so much for the help that you've given this channel, for the time that you take out, because I know doing content creation, it's a 24-hour gig. It's not just the time you see the people on front of the camera. It takes a lot of time researching different things, watching the news, watching what, asshole orange face is saying and these different morons. And that way you can kind of, when you get in front of the camera, what you're talking about, you're knowledgeable, you can give people the facts and the figures without fear of screwing it up. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come talk to the little show that could once again.
Well, it's a big ask at 8:30 at night to fucking come and I'm usually almost asleep.
Well, if I knew you were gonna have to be all sauced up in order to stay up so late, I would have.
I took my first sip just now. Fuck everybody else.
I'm only kidding. Do you remember? It's been a while since you've been on. So clearly there's a bunch that we have to get through. Kind of the first thing that I want to talk about, since being a Marine yourself, I kind of wanted to get your take on what you thought of the whole Putin Alaska summit, and then the subsequent meeting with Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the European leaders. I know that we're kind of going a little bit further back, but we haven't talked in a long time, and I kind of wanted to get your take on that whole debacle and what you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything has been kind of trudged through. It's always alarming as an American. It's not so alarming if you're not an American, if you're foreign to the United States, but it's always alarming when you have a president who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the military, who is just an obsequious mutt to a hostile, brutal, foreign, malign leader of a country who not only attacked us and tried to destroy our democracy in 2016, in 2020, and in 2024, but is also a brutal invader and murderer of pregnant ladies in maternity wards through his indiscriminate attack and his unjustified invasion of a sovereign foreign country like Ukraine. It's always fucking so difficult to watch someone who should be on top of his game, on top of their game, just be a servile weakling in the presence of, like, clapping for Putin as he's walking down the red carpet, and then allowing Putin to speak first at his press conference while behind a podium that has the seal of the president of the, I'll never fucking get used to it, ever. And in step with that, it's also alarming that there's no Republican out there who's willing to say anything cross about the behavior of Donald Trump. I mean, he's mentioned how many times now being a dictator, not only before the campaign, but now in the last couple of days, the 25th and the 26th.
Right.
One behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and now in his cabinet meeting, that a lot of people want a dictator. This is where he's going. And there's not a Republican in sight who's willing to say anything. It's alarming.
Yeah, and along those lines, and there's multiple examples that you can pull from that situation. Him going into that meeting saying, there will be severe consequences for Russia if some sort of ceasefire agreement is not reached, and then directly after that meeting, coming out and being like, what ceasefire? What's a ceasefire? We don't need a ceasefire. I got these other 27 wars that I didn't really end, that I want to take credit for. Those I didn't end those with ceasefires. So why do we need a ceasefire here? So it's like he did a complete 180 where if a ceasefire wasn't agreed to, it was a very direct question by a reporter. He answered it very directly. I put out a short video just to make sure we could highlight it, where he said, yes, there will be severe consequences if no ceasefire is agreed to. Okay, no ceasefire.
He said, not only did he say there would be severe consequences, he said there wouldn't even be a press conference. I will send Vladimir Putin home on a plane, and we won't have a press conference. And then, of course, he bent his knee, just like Republicans bend theirs to him. And,
I guess technically they didn't have a press conference because they didn't take any questions. You know, that's another big thing where you got a dictator who's wanted for, you know, war crimes, wanted internationally, you know, coming here and isn't forced, isn't required to answer a single question by a reporter, you know, and him pretending like he doesn't understand English and couldn't hear the reporters. I'm in, you know, Orange County, and I know they got microphones and stuff, but I could hear the questions being shouted very well from different areas of the room and in the tarmac wherever they were standing. So, and you can tell, and there were people like, oh, he doesn't speak English. It's like, are you out of your mind? You don't think, A, we've heard him speak English before. You know he speaks English. B, he's a very smart individual. So don't think for a second that he doesn't understand what's being said in those rooms. But there's multiple things that you can talk about. And then, you know, you point to after that, the meeting with the European leaders with Volodymyr Zelenskyy. And again, that was just kind of a whole handshake, another photo op. It was good to see the European leaders show up in support on such short notice for Zelenskyy. Ultimately, I think because of what happened last time in the Oval Office and him being kind of jerked around by Donald Trump and Brian Glenn, who I was glad to see Zelenskyy kind of give it back to Brian Glenn a little bit with his suit comment and stuff. So that was good. I also like to see the kind of, you know, ribbon of Donald Trump bringing up Melania a few times, giving him a letter that's, hey, nope, that's not for you. That's for Melania, you know, that type of thing. So I think there were little subtle things. But other than that, you know, people thought that hot mic moment where Trump said Putin wants to get a deal done for him was like a hot mic. I don't think it was a hot mic moment. I don't think he would have any problem saying that in front of cameras. You know, I think that's what hot mic moment really is.
There's
something
lot of shit that gets ran with by people in our profession now. That I don't think is. I've really tried to make a mark to. Like, I haven't talked about the Cracker Barrel, all that fucking nonsense, because I don't think it moves the needle. It doesn't do anything. It's unimportant. You know, it's another one of those made up Republican things that nobody was mad at, like the fucking American Eagle shit, the gene shit. Like, I never fucking heard a single lefty or progressive, a liberal, whatever you want to say, out there on social media being like, those fucking gene ads were crazy. And it's like, you know, like they're so good at making these ridiculously small things into such huge problems, now to the effect where Cracker Barrel, who you know spent millions on fucking development and research and trying to get their marketing out there and their new shit, now all of a sudden like, okay, nope, we'll just go back, you know. And it's like, I don't give a shit either way, but I mean, you're gonna let an entire political system sway you because of their, you know, bigoted and racist beliefs that they don't want anything changed that had to do with the good old days and shit. You know what I mean? It's like, how much of a fucking simpleton do you have to be? I can curse, right? How much of a simpleton do you have to be to worry about what a shitty restaurant, what their logo is? And look, Cracker Barrel's not great. It is not good. It is bordering on not edible. So I don't care what their logo is. I don't care about what restaurants I do like, what their logo is. Why are these people so easily swept away by what Jesse fucking Waters has to say about anything? It's
just, once again, the alpha, the people, you know, portraying themselves as alpha, just absolutely coming out as the biggest bitches on the fucking planet. You know what I mean? They are just the whiniest, most like I don't even know what you call it, like self-victimizing people that you could possibly imagine. And it literally goes against everything that they try to portray themselves as, with the big lug nuts on the truck and the big fucking wheels. And, you know what I mean? And then they step out and it's like, oh my God, Cracker Barrel changed its logo. Fuck. It's like, okay, come on, yeah. Like, what are we really talking about? You know? And again, I guess they'd just be happy to be talking about anything that isn't Donald Trump's failures and that doesn't have Epstein's name in it, right? So as long as they're talking about jeans or fucking Cracker Barrel or whatever the fuck, then they're happy to continue playing that game as long as anybody else is going to play. As long as the media wants to play that, they'll be happy to ride that pony. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's Fox News that's they're
Right.
the runner of interference for Donald Trump and the administration and the fascist agenda that it's not taking shape. It has taken shape. And now they're talking about, they're floating the idea. This is something that's going to be picking up steam over the next week or month. Stephen Miller the other day said something about the Democratic Party being a domestic extremist organization, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump to a terrorist organization. And then if they can designate the Democratic Party as a terrorist organization, then they can stop fundraising, they can stop any material support of the organization, and then we'll be a one-party country. And we know what those countries are like. You've got China, Russia, every dictatorial imagination across the globe is given material support by only having one choice in politics.
Right.
So,
right. You mean those countries that you're probably likely to see some sort of military vehicle parked in some sort of square in the Capitol? Like those
living
type
in
of
Washington, D.C., I don't know what you're talking about, Brian. I don't. What do you mean? That would never happen in the United States. Whatever do you mean?
No, but
sir?
you before we even get to that, and I'm definitely going to get into your experiences in the last few weeks and what you've talked about with people on the streets, what you've seen with your own eyes yourself. But I mean, before we get into that, you talked about you were talking about shit, and I'm probably going to forget what the hell I was just going to ask you. I just had a great question too. Just had a great banger of a question, but maybe we'll get into you being in DC.
Easy out. That's an easy out. Now, I always do that. Oh, I had the greatest question. It was seriously it would have Walter Cronkite would have been knocking on my door with his ghost.
Fuck it. If we're going to go back through it, what were you just talking about? Let's see if we can jog my memory here. Let's see if we can fucking jog it then.
Putin and Russia. We talked about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Are those crickets in real life or
no, this is my pen.
Oh, it's
just my pen. Well, I think I was talking about. I think I was going in the realm of authoritarianism, and then you got me on the military vehicles in the in the squares of the Capitol. It'll come back to me, I'm sure. But being in the DC area, obviously the changes that you've seen have been significant and probably a little bit overwhelming, especially given your past experiences in the military, knowing what the military is actually supposed to be used for, and basically the laws against what it's being used for right now and how it's being used right now. So can you kind of just give us a little bit of a depiction of how things have changed since Donald Trump has kind of weaponized the government and taken over, so to speak, the Metropolitan Police Department in DC?
Yeah, well, not to be Mr. Actually, I don't live in the DC area. I live in the city. I'm not one of those people that says, oh, I live in DC and then I live in Northern Virginia somewhere. I live in Washington, DC, and every day there are obviously there are times where you hear a helicopter above your house because there's a fugitive or they're doing some kind of an op. But I always thought before when it would happen that, oh, they're looking for somebody. There's somebody on the run, or there's some. Now, I think, who are they going to disappear? Not only that, it's not one helicopter a night. It is multiple helicopter a night. And oftentimes, multiple at the same time, I can hear them above my house. It's dystopian what is taking place, that we have now thousands of troops dedicated to invade and occupy the nation's capital that was not unsafe. I can't say it enough. I know a lot of people are like, well, I've gotten attacked online and shit. Like, oh, that's partisan. You're just saying that because Brittany and I go to dinner too much in the city. we go out to dinner at least once a week. Brittany's out right now by herself, not by her, she's with a girlfriend, but out at dinner right now in the city. It's not unsafe. It's dark. It's 8:45 right now. She's safe. I'm not worried about her because it's a safe city. 2 summers ago, when crime was at its peak, when carjackings were at its peak, even then we didn't feel unsafe walking around in the city. And even if we did, it does not justify the military invasion and occupation of this city. When things were at their peak, like in the 90s, in the early 90s, there wasn't a military invasion of the city. We just got through it. It's the most egregious power grab, and all it is to heighten the level of normalizing of it, so he can do it to LA, so he can do it to Atlanta, so he can do it to Chicago, so he can do it to New York, so he can do it to name a city that's run by a Democrat, because that's where we are. We're in a situation right now where Donald Trump is dispatching from red states, the Republican military into Democrat strongholds. That's what he's doing. This is a precursor to, I pray to God this isn't the case, but a precursor to civil war, or at least it smacks of that.
Right. And you mean those red states with the higher crime rates, with the higher murder rates, the ones that are supported by the Democrat cities and states. And I remembered what I was thinking about earlier. You made a great point regarding Stephen Miller. We played it earlier on the show this afternoon, where Stephen Miller made that comment. And you talked about kind of portraying the Democrats as being this evil force. And I made a very similar point to what you were saying, where it's a very fine line when, it's illegal immigrants or people they deem as, unwanted. It turns into people that are against them politically, people that are just on the left, people that have something bad to say about Donald Trump, people that, identify as a liberal, or anybody just with a D next to their name. Like, it's a very fine line, especially when you got Stephen Miller, the man that has been behind so many of these evil policies put in place by the Trump administration. Talking about, putting a label on the Democrats as an evil, dangerous party that supports terrorism and stuff. I mean, there's only one way that he's looking to go with that. So, do you think that's clearly something that we need to pay attention to? Do you think that's something that they're really trying to try to get over? I mean, it sounds like they have a war open on the Constitution. Whether
right
it's burning the American flag, like you said, taking over police departments. Go ahead.
Right now, it's the thing that he said, which I just did the video on it today, so I have the quote here. He says the Democrat Party does not fight for, care about, or represent American citizens. It is an entity devoted exclusively to the defense of hardened criminals, gangbangers, and illegal alien killers and terrorists. Now, I don't want to rehash the video, because everybody could just go to my channel. Not right now. Wait.
Please
and watch
do
the video that posted at 4 p.m. But this, because of Executive Order 13224, which was signed on December 23rd, 2001, just 2 weeks or so, just under 2 weeks after 9/11, George W. Bush signed an executive order that if an entity is designated an extremist organization in the executive order, it's terrorist organization, and we're seeing them use this language now,
right?
Then you can be criminally charged for being involved, for giving material support. They shut down, they restrict any money, any funding. This is the next cursor into making the United States a one-party Republican country. And it's falling in the same order that they do with everything else. They float something, they say something stupid, people get used to that thing being said, like Donald Trump saying dictator over and over and over now. And then when it happens, Democrats are caught flat-footed because they're not fucking paying attention, or they think they're giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. But this, I think, is the most important issue that we're facing in the next few months, is this thing from Stephen
Rhetoric
Miller that really has kind of flown under the radar by too many content creators and people in our space, political commentators. It's going to be the thing to fucking watch.
And the problem is they've hit us kind of with like the Steve Bannon effect on government, where they've thrown so many schmucks and fucking morons and degenerates and corrupt assholes at us that it's tough to kind of filter.
It was schmucks, Corrupt assholes. That was good. I need to get that on a quote. I'll just watch the replay of this and I'll get it. So
You know what I mean? But it's
You're
like it's
right.
like this, just throw everything at the wall. But eventually something's gonna stick. They can't defend everything. So we're watching Pete Hegseth, we're watching Tulsi Gabbard, we're watching now fucking Janine Pirro. It's like we got so much to try to keep our eye on here that all of these people are in charge of very serious and very technical and highly things that require a high level of responsibility. And they're very dangerous positions that people could take advantage of very easily. So it's not something we can take our eye off the ball and kind of focus on one thing.
You just gave me a segue going backward here. For those people in your audience, there's probably not many of the nearly 500 people who are watching right now, but if anybody is out there who doubts that this can happen, let me give you the three people who have to be involved, who have to turn the key to make the decision on whether an organization is an extremist terrorist organization. The first is the Secretary of State, who happens to be a little sycophantic bootlicker named Marco Rubio. The other is the Attorney General. We all know Pam Bondi and what she's willing and capable of doing. And then the other is Scott Bessent, who hasn't seen an ass cheek of Donald Trump that he didn't want to get his tongue on. So we're not in good space relative to who Donald Trump has placed around him, who have the legal authority to make decisions like this. We're in a tight spot, like I unfortunately say too often.
And what are you hearing from people on the ground? Because I've been watching your videos, I've been seeing you're out and about, you're getting, you're documenting what's actually taking place on the streets. I'm sure you've been talking to people on the streets from both sides, if I'm not mistaken. What are you hearing? Are we seeing anger like I'm kind of hearing in the people in my space, or what do you think's going on? What are you hearing from the people?
Well, I haven't talked to any Republicans because they're not in the streets. They are hiding. Right. There's a if you live in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, there is a standing reservation outside of the Heritage Foundation every Monday at 4 p.m. where people gather to harangue and scream at and shame the Nazis that are leaving work at the Heritage Foundation. I'm seeing a lot of frustration, but fortunately for the people who are activists, who are organizers, that frustration is manifesting in action. It is manifesting in going out at all hours of the night to make sure they're filming the masked secret police who are kidnapping people off the streets. Even Americans, by the way, even Americans are suffering under the yoke of ICE, and people are fed up. The other element of action that I'm seeing that I really think is great is that they're setting up these traffic checkpoints like a DUI checkpoint, except it's run by the FBI and ICE and other federal goons. And people will be in advance of the checkpoint with big signs that say ICE, turn around, warning people that this is happening. So there's a ton of community. Arizona Sunflower, thank you very much. I'm sure Brian is extremely thankful for your super chat.
I always am.
Hal sending his regards. Was I not supposed to do that?
I don't know. So you're like I said. Now I'm just not believing that it's your first drink. That's all.
It is. I had to drop Brittany Page off at her aforementioned dinner, so I was not.
I'm only busting your chops. But
yeah. So
what I've been seeing.
Go ahead. There's a lot of people out there who are doing good work, sacrificing their time. They're doing the same thing that all of us should be doing if we have the financial means, if we have the physical means to get out there. And if you don't have those means and you can't be out on the street, then you need to be talking to your coworkers, to your acquaintances, to your family, to your friends, and spreading the word. If you have a social media account and the 5 people follow you wherever you are, share information that you find valuable to try to sway the hearts and minds of people who might be on the fence. We all have a role to play in this, some of us slightly larger than others, but don't think that because you don't have a fucking stupid YouTube channel like me or Brian, that you're not in a position to make a dent. Oftentimes it's the grassroots that really makes a difference. And it's up to all of us to do everything we can. We don't want to have lost our country and think in the back of our mind, fuck, I should have worked harder. I should have done more. You need to take care of yourself, but we need to be doing everything, that doesn't kill us to be making a difference here.
Especially now when we have no fucking excuse, right? I mean, we can rightly criticize that we do, going back to World War II, the German citizens that had to walk by the concentration camps and, had the ashes fall in their homes and had to smell it. And, the people that drove the trains and drove the buses. We're not under threat of hanging from piano wire, at least not right now. I know we're getting ever closer to, kind of leaning on that and looking at that threat, but we don't have the threat of, right now our neighbors listening through the wall to hear what you're saying about the regime and turning you into the Gestapo. And next thing you know, then you're gone the next day, never to be seen again. We don't have that. We can sit here on YouTube, on Twitch, on fucking Facebook, on Instagram, and call out our government rightly and call out the people that we believe are corrupt in our government. And we don't have right now, at least, the fear of the FBI or CIA knocking at my door. I know, again, I keep saying that, and we're getting a lot closer to that moment in time where you do have to be worried about that. But right now we don't. So we don't have the excuse to sit idly by, where you hear the silence is compliance. And I mean, these are, people say this shit for a reason, because inevitably they look back, and when they sat on the sidelines and didn't do something in a specific situation, it eats at them and it eats at them. And I don't want to be that person that can't fucking lay my head on the pillow at night and get a good night's sleep because I didn't speak up when millions of people were mass deported from our country, or when trans people were being rounded up, or when fucking the LGBTQIA were outlawed, or you know what I mean? That type of shit. So I feel like that's why this type of shit is extremely important. And there's been a few people, at least on the Democrat side, that have been good. Like J.B. Pritzker lately has been good at fighting back. I've liked a lot of what Michelle Wu has been doing in terms of fighting, going against Pam Bondi. But
I love Gavin Newsom. I think he's at the very least, he's a guy who doesn't mind sitting down and breaking bread with Nazi fucks. But let me tell you, I'm not going to be one of those leftists, and I consider myself on the left. I'm a progressive, but I'm on the left bleeding edge of progressives. If it comes down, I'm not going to be one of those leftists who like, Genocide Joe and Kamala, she's responsible for the genocide, and then give wind to the sails of Donald Trump. Even if a guy who I don't like Gavin Newsom, ends up running for president and he's the choice versus a MAGA person, I'm going to vote for the guy I don't like every fucking day, because I know that our neighbors aren't going to be rounded up and kidnapped. I know that trans people are going to be protected under color of law, unlike what we've got now, which is a fucking Nazi-like hellscape, reminiscent of what it was like in the early 30s before it became the full-fledged Nazi Holocaust that we know today. It wasn't always 6 million, 7 million Jews dying in ovens. It started off like it is now. People making excuses.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's kind of crazy because, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's not, I rightly spoke my piece, called Gavin Newsom out on for not only what he was saying, but also the people he was speaking to, probably just like you did on your show. Yeah, I said my piece. But that, again, does not mean that I'm going to throw this country down the fucking, flush it down the toilet because he sat down with Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk. If I believe he is the best person to get us moving forward in this country, and he's the option that we put forward as a party, then I will absolutely get behind that candidate, just like I got behind Joe Biden, just like I got behind Kamala Harris, because I knew ultimately both of them, as much problem as I had and as much gripe that I could come up with if I wanted to, knew that they were ultimately 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times better than anything Donald Trump was going to represent and produce and govern over, basically. Unlike like you said, the people that didn't vote at all because they were mad somehow at Democrats and allowed Donald Trump to get in office. But who is the leader right now? I guess that was just going to lead me into a question. Who is the leader of the Democrats right now? Like, if you had to name, I guess, multiple people, because I guess that's one thing that's kind of making me a little nervous. I always feel better Growing up playing sports, whether or not I was the captain or, we had a great captain on the team, it always seemed to bring a more comfortable feeling in the locker room. Maybe I'm putting a little too much emphasis on the sports analogy, but it would feel more comfortable to me if we had somebody that was like, all right, I'm ready to step up. We're going to fight in 2026. I'm going to be there in 2028. Follow me. We had the AOC Bernie run. Kind of unsure what that was all about because Bernie didn't seem like he was stepping up. They never made any clear announcement that, like, he was passing the torch to AOC. Other than that, I know Gavin's been fighting, JB Pritzker's been fighting, but nobody really kind of saying, hey, I'm ready to take the reins of the Democrats. Let's fucking go, get behind me. So who would you say are the leaders at this moment in time?
Unfortunately, the leaders of the Democratic Party right now are you and I and the audience. It's the people. We don't, there is no clear leader with a defined message and a defined tactic to defend Donald or to defend.
Because Jeffries and Schumer ain't fucking lifting. They're not, blowing any wind up my skirt. They're not getting me lifted. Right.
Missing the moment. Absolutely. They're following focus grouped talking points telling them not to use the word birthing person, even though I've never heard someone use that word who wasn't being shitty about
that wasn't on TYT.
Yeah, fucking Anna Kasparian whining about being called a birthing person. I don't believe that ever happened. I think she's a fucking liar. But they're creating problems where none exist. I don't think we have a clear-cut leader. And also, it's way too early to be talking about 2028. Let's get past the midterms first. But right now, to cagily answer your question, it's all of us who need to be calling the Capitol switchboard on a daily or a weekly basis, which, by the way, is 202-224-3121. Somebody write it in the chat, 202-224-3121. That's the Capitol switchboard. Tell your elected representative, whether they be Democrat or Republican, how they should govern, how they should represent you best. And hopefully we can see some kind of a sea change in the levels of bravery or lack thereof from all of our elected representatives. And look, there's probably some out there who do have a great member of Congress and a great senator. Others are live in Jersey, and Cory Booker is voting for Charles Kushner to be the ambassador for France.
It's just so frustrating to see fucking Hakeem Jeffries literally go on what is supposed to be a friendly network and MSNBC and time in and time out get tripped up over this. Why aren't you supporting Zohran Mamdani? Right? Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's his donors don't want him to do it till the last second. I don't know if it's him having an issue with it, but his beating around the bush, his inability to answer the question, his inability, like, it's not sending the right vibes. It's not giving the right message when we definitely have momentum behind a candidate like Mamdani that we should be using to our advantage, especially considering he got the most amount of votes in a mayoral primary in New York City history. Yeah. Considering he's going against the people that he's going against, like, regardless if you love everything about Mamdani, it's like, okay, would you rather a sexual predator in Cuomo? Like, I don't know. Like, what are we talking about here? Or are we going to vote? Are you thinking about voting the Republican way? I don't.
Yeah, listen, I don't. The Mamdani thing is so confusing to me because you can set aside the fact that he was wildly successful in his primary election and just go on what his policies are and what he plans to do to curtail the cost of living for New Yorkers and working class people, and whether it be restrictions on rising rent or rent freezes or whatever. This is the guy. This is the guy with the plan. He's not cozied up to Donald Trump to extricate himself from prosecution like Eric Adams. He's not a do-nothing Nepo baby like Andrew Cuomo, who is getting grabby and sexually assaulting his staff. I mean, what are we doing not being able to endorse Zohran Mamdani when you want to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives and you are kind of by de facto the leader of the Democratic Party? Why are you not supporting the nominee who was elected by Democrats to be the Democrat mayor of the city of New York? It's cowardice. There's no way to shake it. Hakeem Jeffries, in this moment, he's a coward, and history will not look kindly on him. And look, I'm a Democrat. I'm not like, well, yeah, there's no other choice, so I'm a Democrat because I believe the Democratic Party represents what's best for the American people, what's best for the working class, what's best for the downtrodden, the oppressed, all of the things that we talk about aspirationally as Americans. That's why I'm a Democrat. That's why I'm not a fucking Republican. I just don't get it.
No. And, switching gears a little bit, I got a couple more questions for you. And then we did manage to pull some questions from the chat. A few people that had something to ask for you. Check, mic check, 1, 2.
Yeah, I had to switch my earbud.
That's all right. It's tough being professional.
It's impossible being professional, Brian.
But there's been a lot of speculation of late considering the bruising on the back of Donald Trump's hands, the recent diagnosis that he came out with the insufficient venous activity or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
The cankles, which have been pretty prominent and noticeable of late. What do you think's going on with him health wise? Do you think we're just kind of seeing old age being old age? Do you think there's actually something that he and his team should be worried about, or what do you think's going on?
Well,
just
in my professional medical opinion, Brian,
right.
I mean, look, it's not normal to have your ankles squishing out over your shoe. I don't think that's normal, for one. I mean, seriously, now I sound like a hack comic. No, seriously, folks. I don't think he's well. I think that just based on his condition, his deteriorating mental capacity, that we can just watch how he walks. He's dragging that leg. It's not good. And look, I think that's good for the rest of us. There isn't a standard bearer who's waiting in the wings to actually maintain the weird hypnotic trance that Donald Trump has over 30% of the country. JD Vance certainly can't do it. Pete Hegseth isn't up to the challenge. Marco Rubio, he'll be too busy crying under his desk when the dear leader dies. I don't know. But I am losing my, oh, there we go. See, look at this, very professional. There we go. I'm sitting on the earpiece and it keeps unplugging. So, yeah, I don't think it's great.
I love it.
I don't think it's great for Donald Trump.
No.
I think
and speaking of,
he's unwell.
Yeah, and speaking of, I know you just mentioned JD Vance. Did you happen to catch him on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker giving Vladimir Putin praise for these fake concessions that somehow Putin has come out with basically nothing. Basically, Russia agreed that they won't be able to install a puppet government in Kyiv, and somehow JD Vance is like taking that as some like huge concession. I think we're past the point of believing that it was ever a possibility that they were going to install a puppet government in Kyiv, especially at this point. But yeah, I digress.
It's one of the most alarming things about this particular term of Donald Trump is he's always been a guy who's relied upon, like, whoever the last person to talk to him, that's kind of the direction that he would steer policy for the United States. And because now he doesn't have anybody, he doesn't have a John Bolton for all of his Machiavellian terrible ideas about the world, John Bolton. He doesn't have that anymore. Now he has people who are just such obsequious ass kissers that whatever Donald Trump's impulses, his worst imagination, whatever it brings to the country, they back. So there is no competing arena of ideas. There's no marketplace of ideas that Donald Trump can kind of choose from which direction to go. They just appeal to whatever fucking nightmare idea he has in his head. It's one of the most dangerous things about Donald Trump is his bloodlust for praise and his insecurity.
Right, right. I call it backing it into fascism. Like, I don't think he's a dictator in a sense. He wants to rule the world or imprison millions of people, but he's so unable and incapable of saying that he's wrong, admitting faults, showing weakness, that he just ultimately, because of the power that he holds, backs himself into this fascist, authoritarian piece of shit role, just because of the decrepit human that he is inside. But just last question for me, and then again, we just have a couple more from the chat. I wanted to talk to you something that we've been covering pretty substantially on this show over the last few months and years, is the what's going on in Gaza, the humanitarian aid disaster in Gaza. We saw yesterday, we reported on that the so-called double tap on the Nasser hospital, basically where Israel struck a hospital, waited for aid workers and people to show up to start picking people out of the rubble, and then ended up striking that hospital again. How important is it that we continue to highlight the plight of the Palestinian people and highlight the genocide and the war crimes that are being committed on a daily basis over there?
Well, I mean, it's important from a messaging standpoint to maybe wake some Americans up. Luckily, it's not that without our leadership, the Palestinian people are without help, because Europe is widely and largely understanding what's taking place. But it is not, look, I'm an optimist at heart. I just, it's who I am. It's how I think. It's how I behave. It's how I view the world. And there's not a lot of optimism to be found for Palestinians. When we're seeing the kind of numbers that we see, when we see the photos coming out of babies starving to death and mothers being so famished, literally famished, that they can't even feed through breastfeeding their babies, their infants. It's a shocking thing to me that Benjamin Netanyahu, coming from his lineage, being a Jew who witnessed what took place in the Holocaust, can now deliver upon the Palestinian people the exact kind of heartless, wanton cruelty that he is. It's fucking stunning. And more shocking yet is that our government is complicit in it through continued arms sales, through rooms full of senators, including Democrats, gathering for a fucking photo with Benjamin Netanyahu, a literal wanted war criminal. It's unconscionable. I don't understand it. And I wish I had a more happy outlook than I do.
Right. And then add that onto the stories of these, so-called humanitarian aid sites that are just basically luring Palestinians, tens and 20 kilometers away from their place where they call home, only to pick them off or, toss stun grenades or smoke grenades. We had that Green Beret, Tony Aguilar, I believe his name was, that was making the rounds on social media and on the news outlets, trying to get the word out there what the hell is going on. So, we give him credit. There was something that I just read yesterday from an Israeli human rights organization where they said point blank, my country is committing a genocide. No if and maybes, no guessing about this. So
the other
I think
thing,
it's. Go
sorry
ahead. Yeah.
To cut you off.
No.
The other thing that really is troubling to me is the fact that the mainstream media, you would think that they, at the very least, if they were to turn their back on the Palestinian babies who are being literally fucking starved to death, at least mainstream media would be able to say, wait a minute, you shouldn't be killing our compatriots, our comrades who are journalists. You shouldn't be killing them. We're going to raise a ruckus about that. But it's fucking crickets.
The humanitarian organizations where there's been hundreds of their people being killed, like you were mentioning earlier, the World Central Kitchen workers, and add a bunch of UNRWA workers and a bunch of other people into that. All right, so I don't want to keep you over time. We just have a few questions here for you, my man. First one is kind of a funny one. I don't know if you saw me laugh in the background. Probably not the best time to read this question while we were talking about that. But the first one says, Jesse, what is your favorite flavor of crayon? Just a former Army grunt giving you shit. And this is from Look at the Trees.
Burnt sienna. It is tasty.
I can't believe there was an answer to that question. That's hilarious. All right, the next one is from Julie. And Julie asked, could you ask Jesse and Brian if they think that the Minneapolis, my state of Minnesota, will be moved up on the list of cities to receive the occupation treatment? And I was saying this because I made an observation this morning in the earlier show, talking about now there is the possibility of seeing false flags by Republicans in some of these cities to make it seem like crime is worse off than it is, to try to cause chaos, to give Trump the justification to send in more National Guard or to take over the police in that area. I wasn't saying that that's what happened here. There hasn't been anything to suggest that. It just kind of was an idea, something that popped into my head as we were discussing it, where it's like, that we've seen at the George Floyd protest, a lot of right-wing organizations instigating in there, shooting at police stations to try to make it look like, the riots were worse than they were. So it's not something beyond the realm of possibility for these people. So I was just kind of basically, I keep your head on a swivel moment, and let's kind of be aware of how they're trying to use, again, this war that they've started on the Constitution. So what do you think about not only the question, but also the shooting in general and gun violence in general?
Well, one, just generally as an umbrella statement about the shooting, it's remarkable to me that Republicans can't lift a finger. They can barely say a prayer and offer a thought when children are gunned down in their places of worship and their schools, yet they're trying to get felony charges for a dude who threw a sandwich at an FBI agent. I mean, their priorities are so out of whack. It's just, it's beyond even commenting on. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist to the false flag thing, but I would say this: we need to be suspect of just about everything that comes out of the Republican Party now, from the non-assassination attempt, no bullet touched Donald, all of these things. There was one point in my life where I'd be like, no, that's crazy talk. Now I'm more open to, like, is this the Republican Party? And yeah, this is the Republican Party. So the same Republican Party that projects about everything, that accuses the other side of the thing they're doing, that for years has accused Democrats of creating false flags around Newtown, the horrible, insane, murderous rampage that that maniac went on and killed like nearly 30 people, most of them children. That was a false flag. Oh, the frogs are making the water and the gay and the frogs, and they've accused us of false flags for so many years. It does make me think.
I don't know if you've ever heard my Alex Jones, but Alex Jones just showed up to the party, brother.
Yeah. It's just more leaning into questioning the things that happen and what are the motivations. And also it's kind of like a follow the money thing, but it's like, who benefits from this if it does happen? And Donald Trump certainly benefits relative to an increased level of power. And I do. One of your initial queries was about, do I think Minnesota's next? And of course it's next, because Tim Walz wants to run for president. He's not making all these speeches out there because he's uninterested in the job. Yeah, they're absolutely.
Superpowers being honest, I will eat my neighbors.
There you go.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Another question that I had, because we've been kind of discussing this behind the scenes, my girlfriend and I. How much do you think should be?
That's the biggest false flag of them all, that you have a girlfriend.
Yeah, believe me. she's in Canada right now. I swear she exists.
She goes to a different school. You don't know her. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
She's always on vacation with her family.
That's one I haven't heard before.
Fuck. No, that's what I was going to ask. How much should we be focusing on the Epstein files? Because we've been thinking about this, and I'm sure you've heard this all over the place. Anything that happens is a distraction from the Epstein files, no matter how big or small, whatever it is, it's a distraction. But then we look at in the broader picture, this again, the war that Donald Trump and his regime has opened up on the Constitution, on the rights that we hold as American citizens in this country. We look at him again making burning the flag illegal, changing the name of the State Department without as small as these things are, you need congressional approval, and then it just goes to show what he thinks of what congressional approval, how he speaks to Volodymyr Zelenskyy. When Zelenskyy says, "Okay, well, I can't agree that to myself. I have to go back. I got to talk to the Rada. We got to figure this out because we have a Ukrainian constitution that we have to follow." And Donald Trump laughs in his face, like, "Oh, you're gonna actually follow the Constitution? Like, you can't just say yes. You're the president. You're the leader. You're the big bad this and that." You know what I mean? So it goes to show what he thinks about it. But it's like, I'm kind of struggling in my mind weighing how much, because I still think, like, I want accountability, I want justice, I want everybody that's on that to be brought, but I don't know how much we're actually going to get from this administration. Like, I don't want to be strung along for the next 3.5 years demanding something we're never ever going to get. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we take back the House in the midterms and we actually do regain some power in government. But I'm just saying, in the off chance that doesn't happen, I don't want to be like, how much should we be focusing on the Epstein things as opposed to what he's doing with the power?
Two things. One, if we want any accountability for Donald Trump whatsoever about anything, Epstein included, we need to flip the House and the Senate. We need to do it. We have to do it. We must do it. Secondly, two things can be true at the same time. I know everybody says that and people, their eyes glaze over when they fucking hear it. But just because something is a distraction doesn't mean it's not important. You know what I mean? So yes, the flag burning thing is a fucking distraction. The military invasion and occupation of Washington, D.C., and soon coming to a town near you is also a distraction, but it doesn't mean we should not talk about it. So if we don't turn the House in the midterms, there will be it's very unlikely Donald Trump is going to find any consequence for the credible accusations that face him of raping children. I believe it to be true. But even if we get the House, it's still unlikely he's going to face legal consequence for that. All we can hope for is political consequence. And that's why we need to keep talking about the story, to ensure that people like, oh, well, I don't want a child rapist as president of the United States. And it seems to me that is what he is. So I'm not going to vote for that guy or members of the party who defend him. It's just no good options. We're in a fucking terrible time.
I know.
Brother.
I'm thinking of it as like, it's not the hammer that I like using, but if it's the most effective hammer in that moment for that thing, I mean, you got, just to be a fucking construction moron, instead of a hammer, you got the palm hammer where you can get into tight spaces, and it, you get the pneumatic thing.
What?
They make a pneumatic palm hammer where you wear it on the inside of your palm.
More false flags from Boston Brian.
Where if you're in a space where you can't swing a hammer, you can do it with your hand, and it just pneumatically pushes the nail into the wood. Anyway, what I was saying is, if it's the Epstein thing that inevitably takes, again, I have the same feelings as you. I don't think we're ever going to see him held to account. I don't think he's ever going to face justice for what's going on with the Epstein files. I just think right now he's in the position of power. We're seeing things go the other way. Ghislaine Maxwell is getting fucking, closer to getting a pod, and she's getting less security. She's getting work release. So we're kind of going the opposite way as far as getting things. We just heard out of the documents that were being released to Congress that they were, just the same shit over and over again that we already, with information that we already know. So I just feel like they're going to keep spinning their wheels as much as possible, dragging this fucking thing out. But if that's the hammer that works best at beating Donald Trump over the head with politically, then we need to wield that as much as we can, but without, like you said, without losing sight of the fascist authoritarian policies he's now putting in place elsewhere.
Also keep this in mind, that the two things, he's going to ratchet up the distractions to the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level, the longer that the story sticks around, which is not to say we should let the story die. We should not. But the other thing is, we should keep talking about the Epstein thing, not to try to convince the dyed to the wool MAGA people, but reasonable people on the periphery who might their support of Donald Trump, or at least thinking middle of the road about Donald Trump, though I don't really have an opinion. We could convince those people, and they will vote, and maybe we will radicalize them to get out there and switch parties or vote for Democrats in the primary.
Right.
So it's not always about convincing the other side. It's about animating people who are reasonable, but up to this point haven't paid attention because they're too busy trying to make a living or whatever. We need to do it for them too. So there's a host of different reasons to keep talking about it.
Just something I've been going back and forth with, you know what I mean? Because I don't think we're going to ever get that like satisfying moment where everything's released and we see these guys in handcuffs and, you know, people are fucking the CIA and the FBI searching the world for these scumbags. And
the most satisfying moment will be when we wake up and it's like, oh, fucking Donald Trump died in his sleep. So that for me will be taking the day off, although I probably won't be able to take the day off.
And then we got just one more question here from Denise, and I'm wondering the same thing. I want to ask Jesse how he's feeling. If he's feeling well. I was very concerned about his health. We know what you've been through, especially being an avid listener of the I Doubt It podcast myself.
Yeah.
So
no,
we're just curious how you doing still.
I love when people still remember that I had colon cancer in 2022.
And you forget?
I do. No, I seriously, it's kind of a nice reminder for me as well. I'm healthy. I lost a shit ton of weight. I drink way less. I eat way less. I exercise way more.
That was the bottle of bourbon that he was pointing at, just in case you guys are wondering what he was pointing at off screen.
A little glass. Yeah, I'm healthy. I'm doing well. I have regular checkups. I have an appointment coming up in the next few weeks with my oncologist, and I am lucky to be alive. I'm incredibly lucky that we caught it early, that they took out a third of my colon surgically. They got everything. I didn't have to go through chemo. I'm lucky beyond measure, and I'm not worthy of it.
Hashtag get checked.
Yeah, very happy. Yeah, for sure. If you're 40 years old, you need to start asking about getting a colonoscopy, and don't listen to the people. We'll just turn this into a PSA for colonoscopies. Don't listen to people. Oh, the prep is so bad. It's you puke and then, or you drink the stuff and then you poop, and then get over yourself. Let's be adults here. For yourself, get checked, because I would not have known. I did the Cologuard thing. We're really going TMI now, but where you put like the piece of parchment paper in the toilet and then you shit on the thing and then you scrape it and then you send that into the lab. I had an actively bleeding tumor inside me and it came back negative. So colonoscopy is the way to go. It saved my life. I've had probably 6 or 7 since then, since 2022. And maybe not that many, 5. And it saved my life. So yeah, thank you.
Good.
I think it was Denise. Is that who asked the question?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you, Denise.
And you look well too. You look well.
And it's a nice springboard to actually provide a little public service announcement for colonoscopies. Who knew that I would be the representative for colonoscopies?
Well, listen. There's a reason why lefties want the most health care possible for people. There's a reason that lefties want you to be able to, make a decent wage when you go to work, so you don't have to come home from work to go to work, to go to work, to go to work in order to put food on the table. There's a reason, because we do care. I get emotional on this channel a lot, whether it's talking about kids in Gaza, whether it's talking about the people in Ukraine, whether it's talking about the millions of people in this country that are going to lose their eligibility to health care for whatever reason, because of whatever policy that the Republicans are implemented, because of whatever budget they decided to pass. I get mad at the trans military people that are going to lose their benefits. I believe it was the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. Because of who they are, they're not going to be allowed to gain to get the care that they fucking gave and sacrificed so much for. So shit like that pisses me the fuck off. It makes me extremely emotional. And, you know, a lot of people think I'm this nice guy and come on here and I smile. I will snatch a motherfucker's heart out if I feel that they are, disrespecting people, if they are, you know, putting their foot on someone's throat, so to speak, then I will be right there to fucking make sure that they hear it from me. I appreciate you being here. Go ahead.
Don't cut me off. Two things. One, nobody thinks you're a nice guy. And secondly, oh fuck, I had an actual point. The joke came first though. The second point. Well,
see, everybody always say that's always what the comedians say. I had this great joke, but I forgot it.
No, that was the joke, that you're not a fucking nice guy. The second thing I want to say is, it's something I always talk about, which is, you know, in our founding documents, in the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson talked about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, how can you guarantee life if you cannot guarantee preservation of that life through healthcare? For me, it's a natural right. It is a constitutionally guaranteed right that we should be having Medicare for all. We should have free healthcare paid through our taxes, and it's a human rights violation that we don't, that we are the wealthiest nation on the planet by far, and every other industrialized nation can figure it out, but we're just like, oh, that's just the price of freedom, is dying of fucking colon cancer. Luckily, I had health insurance, and it didn't happen that way. So
it's just, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to, you know, combat, and it's good that we have, you know, leaders like you on our side here on at least, you know, the YouTube sphere to keep us grounded.
Hey, I'm on Facebook
because
too,
again,
man. I'm on Facebook too. Don't sell me
I'm not.
short.
Oh no, I am
I'm
on Facebook. I am on
platform
Facebook.
too.
All right, sorry. All right, I stand corrected. The point is that we need, again, I bring it back to sports because, again, every athletic team, every sports team that I've been a part of, you know, that was successful had everybody doing their role, everybody playing their part. Right. You know, Bill Belichick used to say, do your job. You know, just fucking worry about your job, get your job done to the best of your fucking ability. And if everybody does that, we will come together as a unit and things will happen. Right. So it's like, not everybody on my teams were 6'5", 225. Not everybody was fast. Not everybody, you know, there was slow guys, there was fast guys, there was short guys, there was tall guys, all for a different purpose, all doing different, doing working in different ways to help the team win. And I think we really need to consume that way in politics.
Let me balance your metaphor. Let me speak as you would speak in another way. Some guys are regular hammers and some guys are palm hammers. Other guys are pneumatic hammers. Is that how it is?
Yeah. No, perfect. You fucking nailed it.
Nailed it with the hammer.
Yeah, two can play at that game, you know? All right, my brother. Just before you leave, why don't you let everybody know, not that you need to, I'm sure everybody here always follows you anyway, no matter where you are, but let them know where they can find you, watch you, catch your content, subscribe if they aren't, please.
So don't worry about that. Here's what you need to do. Get involved in politics at your local level. Get involved if you find out there's a protest in your area. Make sure you remember that number that someone put in the chat, 202-224-3121, and call your representative. And by the way, and Brittany Page brought this up. That's a channel you should subscribe to, is Brittany Page. But Brittany Page brought this up the other day that, you know, it'd be so great if people didn't just call with their complaints and their bitches to congressional offices, but also when your member does something right, also take 5 minutes and call and say, hey, I appreciate that vote. Thank you very much. Let my representative or my senator know. That it should be in your Rolodex, in your iPhone, in your Android to call these people. That's my soapbox.
I appreciate you, dude. I really do. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I will let you get on with unwrapping yourself from your cords and trying to get up out of your seat. I appreciate it. I hope we can do this again. I really do. I would love to, if we could maybe work something out where we could make this maybe a little bit more frequent. I don't know which way you want to work it. I would love to do that.
This is on you. You're the one who needs to ask me. What am I going to invite myself on to fucking encroach on your show? You ask me, I'll come on.
No. I'm trying not to overstep the boundaries here. I'm trying to, space myself out with you, so I'm not just like encroaching upon your time every 2 seconds.
Just fucking text me. Quit acting like I'm big leaguing you. Quit being a pneumatic hammer and just fucking do the job to ask me to come on. How about that?
No, and believe me, I sing your praises a lot. You're one of the seriously though, you're one of the creators that is most down to earth, most relatable to me, and most, I think, like myself going into these situations, and somebody where I can really see a lot of myself in you, which makes it a lot easier to consume your content. It makes it a lot easier to listen to the I Doubt It podcast, which everybody should be listening to with yourself and co-host Brittany Page.
Are you telling me that you were the replacement for the third of my colon that they removed? You can see yourself in me.
Yeah. No,
it's
pause.
It's
hold on. I got to put a pause in there. I don't think. Hold on. Yeah. Before we get too off the rails.
First on the Boston Brian Blunt Politics Show. He wants to.
No, but
see
you're absolutely right.
Me.
Yeah, we'll cut that one out real quick. But you're absolutely right, though. And that's why I end every show telling everybody, find your nearest protest, find your nearest rally. They are out there. I was very happy and pleased to see when I moved out here that there are consistent protests and consistent rallies every weekend on, this block or that intersection or whatever it is. So, and they're online.
Here's how you
go ahead.
Do it.
Yeah.
By the way, I did this in my local area just to give some information. I Googled, where can I find protests in my area? And there's an app or some website out there called Eventbrite, Brite, and this is where they came up for me. But there are organizations out there that they list and they keep track of where and when the protests are for you to find one. So it's just Google the question that you have in your brain and you could find one for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. I advise everybody to do
Brian.
just that.
You do good work. Watching you come up has been awesome. And this loyal audience and this community that's built up around your show is beautiful. You should feel very lucky.
Thank you. Well, it's only because of great people like you that I've learned through and that give the time of day to make sure that, channels like this do have the engagement and do get the spotlight I think that they deserve. And again, like you always say, if it's not myself that you get the most value in, make sure you're suspending you're supporting independent creators all over the place. Whoever does give you the most bang for your buck. That's also something that I've taken from your book as well. So I appreciate you, buddy. Stay well. Tell Brittany I said hello. And I'd love to have you, her, the both of you guys on as much as possible because I think you're both fucking fantastic.
Just ask. Thank you. Everybody have a great night.
Appreciate you, bud. Thank you so much. All right, Jesse Dollemore. It's always fun. It's never a dull moment when Jesse enters the ring. I love it. Never a dull moment. Which is why he keeps me on my toes. I'm gonna wipe my face. I'm sweating to death. He's got me laughing. He's got me giggling. I love it. Thank you, Jesse, again. I really do appreciate it. All jokes aside, it is very. I'm very honored, honestly, to have somebody that I look up to so much in this space be somebody that I could call at least a friend on here, and that is so willing to take the time out to help channels like this grow, which again I think we should be talking more about. I think politicians should be speaking to more independent media stations. I'm obviously not speaking about mine. The bigger stations, like I said, Jesse, Midas Touch, any one of the bigger creators in our space. I think it would be very wise of the politicians to start getting their asses on these fucking shows and start getting and hitting the audience of these people, because these people have a passionate fucking audience, one of which I come from Jesse's audience. So you can see how passionate the people in these audiences are about what the fuck we're talking about. So it would be very prudent of these politicians to start utilizing these fantastic creators in more ways than they do now. So thank you, Jesse, once again. Fantastic work. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. And I hope you do. Let me see if I can see. There we go. All right. Sorry. I just want to make sure I didn't leave him hanging in the studio. I appreciate it. All right. Let me get into the chat. I want to thank the chat for all of your questions. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much, Ricky. Thank you so much, JD. Holy shit, Jess. Come on, brother. Oh my goodness. Holy shit! I'm just seeing it. I'm praising him, and he's gifting me. It's what a circle this is. The circle of life. Thank you so much, Jesse. That is fucking incredibly generous and kind of you. I sincerely appreciate that ridiculously kind gesture. I wish there was a way for me to actually express how awesome that is. But thank you so much, Jesse. I really appreciate it. It's very awesome to see such a great support, a great creator in this space be so down to earth and so cool to talk to and so easy to talk to, and have such a good head on his shoulders. So again, thank you so much for the 50 fucking gifted. Holy shit. Make sure everybody in the chat is thanking Jesse as well, because that is just absolutely enormous for the channel. So thank you, dude. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate it. He was actually, Jesse, if you remember, was the reason that he got us past 10,000 subscribers. The last time he was on, we were working to try to get 10,000. He was kind enough to hop on and gave us the push on his platforms to get us past 10,000. So I owe a lot to Jesse. I owe a lot to a lot of people. So it takes a village to raise an idiot, obviously. So thank you for raising such an idiot like me, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, let's get into a few more of the stories that we have to cover. A pneumatic hammer icon. I know. He's cracking me up. And I promise I don't know, I'm sure somebody in the chat's got to know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's just a pneumatic hammer that just sits on your palm, and if you press it in, it vibrates, and as you press in, it hammers in the nail. Just for tight areas where you can't swing the hammer. You know what I'm talking about. I think he was pulling my leg a little bit. All right, let's see what trouble we can get into here for the rest of the time that we have. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you again, Jesse. Just looking at that up there, the 50 gifted is fucking crazy to see. And thank you, JD, again. And then thank you, Ricky, again. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate you guys. Going a long way. All right, let's see. What did I have pulled up here for today? We might have to get into some of our viewers sent in content here. Let's see, because I don't know if anything really crazy happened today. What did we have that I wanted to show you guys yesterday that we didn't get to? I know I played the Stephen Miller on this morning's, but we didn't get through all of it. There was something that I played on yesterday's show that we didn't get through the whole thing that I said that we were going to play today. Do you guys remember what the hell that was, what I was talking about? Let me see here. Which one is this? No, that wasn't it. I could have sworn that we had something yesterday. Yeah, now I'm sweating to death. Now I am sweating to death. A palm nailer, yeah. What did I call it? Is that what I call it? I forget what I call it now. Isn't that what I said? No, that's what I said. Maybe I said palm hammer. All right, no, I'm just trying to look. Sorry, I'm looking in my emails here. I'm trying to find something. Because I know I had something that we watched yesterday. More lies. Tiff had this sense. No, that wasn't that one. My apologies. All right, let's see if I can do this. I'm trying. Producer Mel's yelling at me. Pick something, she says. I'm trying. I just hate when I have this specific thing in mind that I want to do, and then for some reason when I go to get that specific thing, it's just not fucking there for some reason. I feel like somebody's messing with me every single time it happens. All right. Let's see what we got here. We had that one. Christ, I'm sweating. Let's take a look at this. Because I don't think we got through the end of this one. I'm going to play it right here. No, I'm trying. I am. I don't know where it disappeared to. It fucking happens every time, and I hate it. Goddamn, I hate it when it happens. I'm going to put this on the screen for you guys. Because I know we got through only a few minutes of this. There was only a couple minutes of this left behind afterwards. But yeah, this was the clip that Jesse was referencing earlier. where Stephen Miller, that we played earlier, that clip already went by that Jesse was talking about. But this is just the end of that interview with him and Sean Hannity that we were calling out so brutally early. And I just want to kind of see if he continues on with that same bullshit or if he stops. Let me just see if I can play this out for a few minutes and see what he says here. Bear with me. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like button, share the stream out. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. We're on our way to 15K. Thank you so much to everybody, especially Jesse, for your kind contributions for the channel today. I mean, just what a night. What a night. All right, let's go.
And to the point about the federal government and the supremacy clause, the president has the utmost authority here because he oversees federal law enforcement, which is supreme to state and local law enforcement. And all of these organized street gangs that are terrorizing these cities, that are dealing these drugs, that are trafficking weapons, that are engaging in organized theft, armed robbery, carjacking.
Is Tim Pool still alive, guys? Is Tim Pool still alive? Because I saw he posted something on Twitter, like I thought it was like a week ago at this point, talking about how he was like deathly ill or something like that, or he was sick. And, you know, I've been checking up on his show as I do, and I haven't seen him on there in a while. Like this guy's been kind of filling in. You know, I'm going through this scene. I don't see it. There's Jack Posobiec. Is Tim on this? No, there's some other lady. There's some other guy. There's Jack again. I don't know who that guy is. Like, where's Tim? He hasn't been on this show in like at least a week that I've seen. Should we check in with these assholes? All right, let's check in. Let's see what they're ranting and raving about here. Here we go. You twisted my arm. Let's go.
Is a water gun.
We have like 1,000 of those.
The way I've explained it is that for people who don't, there's this mystique around firearms, which I think that basic training and familiarization training, and it sounds like you need to take Libby out to the range, man. We need a Libby range day.
Oh, I did ask a while back, remember?
We got to go. We got to do this.
Look, I mean, it's open Monday through Sunday. I go to Peacemaker.
What are they talking about? Going to the range? That's kind of strange, not to rhyme, but I'm pretty sure the trans shooter targets Catholic kids in mass shooting. Is that something that's been reported? Did you guys hear that reported? Hold on, let me see here. I haven't heard that reported. This was 8 minutes ago from CNN. We'll see if we can get the update, I guess. Still says 2. What we know for shooter through the windows of the church in Minnesota morning, killed 2 children. The identified shooter who's dead is Robin Westman, 23, graduated from school in 2017. Released a manifesto on YouTube, including some disturbing writings. Vigilance talk. Being a parent, I can only imagine. 27, she was attending Virgil. Impact of the tragedy, daughter pulling her school grade through. It doesn't say anything that I've seen. Is there information that I'm not being shown here? This is 14 minutes ago from Fox, but let's see how they're reporting it. Let's see here. Fox, Barn O'Hara confirms 2 children, aged 8 and 10, died. 17 people, including 14 children, were injured. Being a school year, it was Robin. I spoke to them about law enforcement. We know the solutions. Our leaders must encourage. That doesn't say anything there. Suspect Tim Walsh acknowledged the incident and expressed concern and offering prayers for the affected students and teachers. Homeland Security Kristen Noem stated the Department of Homeland Security is actively monitoring the situation. Yeah, I'm not seeing that reported. That seems like a... Let me go back to the chat. Have you guys seen that? They released the name. Yeah, but is it what I'm saying is if you look here, they're reporting it as a trans shooter targeting Catholic kids in mass shooting. Is what Tim Cast has this their live stream labeled as. So what I'm curious is, where did they get this information that it was a trans that the person was trans? Or again, are they just using that as a scare tactic? Because I've seen nothing here, even from Fox News. This was updated, last update, August 29, 2025, 9:32 p.m. Eastern time. So not that long ago. Let's see here. Vigilance tonight at the shooting. This is 4 hours ago. This is an hour ago from the Star Tribune. Let's look at this one. 23 identified gunshot wound. There's one told Mr. Star. One was mother worse at the Annunciation. 2 children were killed. Yep. 2 children. Shooter identified as Robin Westman. Yep. We know that part. No, I'm not seeing anything that would even suggest. Church shooter, person rival, politician. Medical, what we know about. Okay. Dressed in all black. No, that was the original report. No, so I haven't seen. I'm going to go back to you guys. I'm looking back at the chat now. Have you guys seen anything? Is the manifesto still available? Possibly something in there? But what I'm saying is, if it was in the manifesto, I feel like they would be using, like Fox would be using that as a heartbeat to put up a headline, right? You would have to assume they'd be fucking all over using that. It may even be Fox. It was a couple hours ago. Hal talked about it for a minute. I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing anything be reported as far as the shooter being trans. So that's all. I'm just curious where the hell Tim Pool's goons are, or again, if they're just using trans people as some fucking boogeyman to get ahead of this story. Because again, this is kind of like putting the lies out on the front page, and then when they have to retract a story, that's going to be on page 440 fucking 7 by the time they actually have to come out and be like, oh well, the shooter evidently wasn't trans. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I haven't seen that reported at all. I haven't seen that reported, so I'm just kind of curious where they got that.
It's it's in West Virginia.
Last time I shot a gun, I was.
That I hear what you're saying, and I am sympathetic to your point. However, it does not scale. It does. So godlessness does not work at scale, and in a society where you.
I remembered what video we didn't get through was the I've Had It ladies, Jen and Pumps talking about Donald Trump's health. That's the one that we didn't get through. So let's just get through a couple minutes of this, see what these assholes are talking about, and then behind the scenes, I'll see if I can pull up the I've Had It ladies, Jen and Pumps talking about Donald Trump's health. I believe we didn't get through that whole thing the other night, so that's my apologies. All right, let's continue this.
People that are constantly searching for meaning and this is what Nietzsche talked about with nihilism, that when you
adopt, don't shop is saying not trans. Excuse me, sorry. I'm trying to read the chat to see if any more information has been put out. I mean, that I just looked it up as far as that's literally the latest on it. That was, oh, excuse me. All right. Hold on. I just saw the first thing that I saw here. Minnesota school shooter ID'd as trans woman Robin Westman, as apparent manifesto included kill Trump, it says. Let's see what the hell this article is talking about. The deranged gunman, again, this is the Post, though, right? All right, let's look at the information. Let's try not to focus on the rhetoric they use here. All right. The gunman who slaughtered 2 children and injured at least 17 others at a Catholic school in Minneapolis has been identified as a transgender woman. Disturbing videos posted by the shooter show a handwritten manifesto and kill Donald Trump and for the children scrawled on gun magazines. Robin Westman, formerly Robert Westman, opened fire through the stained glass windows of a church at the Annunciation Catholic school where he attended during a celebratory back-to-school mass filled with children at around 8:30 Wednesday, just hours before the cowardly massacre. Westman, 23, posted a series of twisted videos on YouTube, which include a manifesto. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara confirmed at a press conference. Looks like it says Ovinen Ovenen Holmes, Lanza. Oh, those are names and names. Oh, I got it. All right. In 20-minute video, Westman throws through the disturbing handwriting manifesto. Much of it is written in a homespun code that uses Cyrillic characters in English phonetic words. I was just curious where Tim Pool's headline came from. Of course, they're ass up. They're up the ass of the fucking of the New York Post. But again, yeah, as somebody mentioned here, the overwhelming majority of people that are in this situation are not trans. Right. All right. So let's see if we can get back to this. Let's get back to that the pumps. Or should we finish? I don't feel like looking. Do you feel like looking at this guy's fucking mug anymore? Huh? You guys feel like looking at this guy's mug? All right, 2 more seconds. I'll give him 2 more fucking seconds. That's about all he's got. Where is he? Here he is. All right.
All of them are doing business with, at some level or another, the transnational narco trafficking organizations. So these street crews are engaged in material support for terrorism, which is the core function of the.
All right. Looks like everybody in the chat's spoken. No, nobody likes looking at Stephen Miller. I don't like looking at any of these fucking fools. But what the whole point is to call out what they're saying and actually, give you guys the truth, as to fight through the propaganda and the lies of the bullshit and the mainstream media. Hence the opening of the show here.
The federal government to defend and protect. Well, President Trump has literally set the people of Washington, D.C. free. They're so happy now.
Set them free by unleashing the National Guard, by federalizing the Metropolitan Police Force, by harassing people on the streets, has set them free. Stephen, I don't know, but we just talked to somebody living in Washington, D.C., not the D.C. area, I'll have you know, in D.C. Don't worry, Jess, I got him. I'm going to emphasize the fact that you're in that bitch. You're in that motherfucker, right? Talking about how dystopian it feels to walk around that city. Right, we showed you videos yesterday of veterans being arrested for expressing their First Amendment right, for burning the American flag in protest. Doesn't seem like freedom to me. That doesn't feel like a free society to me.
They can just go out and live their lives, go to their favorite restaurant, go to their favorite bar, go to their favorite pool hall, go to their favorite park. You see moms taking kids out to parks they haven't been to in years. Because they know the police are there. They know that President Trump
they've been drunk off wine. It's probably the first day they've been sober in fucking 6 years.
There with his law enforcement to protect them. It's a thing of beauty, Sean. But I would say to the mayor of all these Democrat cities, like Chicago, what you are doing to your own citizens is evil. Subjecting your own citizens to this constant bloodbath and then rejoicing in it is evil. And you should praise God every single day that President Trump is in the White House.
If he's going to encourage people to take to the streets over this, I will say anything that happens, he will be responsible for. I did not like his comments.
He did.
Stephen Miller, good to see you. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Oh, my God. Check this out. Where's that even coming from? Check this out. Did you guys see this? All right, hold on, time out. That's crazy. Look at who fucking pretty big douchebag sat down with. Check this out. Here, I'll show you. Israel's fighting your war. Netanyahu admits genocide, slams AIPAC critics in Trump-owned Gaza? Wait a minute. Are you telling me pretty big dithead got fucking Benjamin Netanyahu to admit that he's engaged in a genocide? Is this something that we should fucking... All right, I got to check this out. We got to fucking check this out. Good grief, okay. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. I'm going to speed it up just a touch. We'll go 1.15 on these dickheads. All right. Let's drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Good God. This should be brutal. This is going to be brutal. Oh, boy.
phone call to America. America better do or else. Do you agree with that?
Do you know President Trump? You don't make him do anything. He does what he thinks is in America's interest, and he's very forceful about it.
Would the war and the Hamas attack have happened if President Trump was president instead of Biden?
Probably not, but it's hard to say with these maniacs. I think Iran would have been more careful.
I'm curious, did you know the president was going to be saying this?
We're going to take over that piece and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs.
It's funny, he doesn't have this, maybe it's too new, but typically he's got his podcast set up in like segments on either a question that he asked, a response that was given. Didn't seem to do it on this one, and it's a lot shorter. This one's only 41 minutes. Excuse me. Typically his are a couple hours long. Not that the guests stay that long, but all right, let's go.
You don't know this, Patrick. If America wants to come in and invest, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
So you would be okay if America takes over Gaza and it becomes something that we control. You'd be okay with that?
Yeah, but it's an American choice. Our victory will be your victory.
Why?
Okay, right there, Benjamin Netanyahu. We haven't even gotten into the fucking interview yet. This is literally just the beginning and opening highlights that fucking dickhead put together here. He's already admitted that he doesn't give a shit what happens to the Palestinian people. He doesn't give a shit what happens to the land. Fucking wipe the Palestinian people out, and the United States can have the land for all I care. As long as those people aren't living next to us, then we're all set. That's literally what he just said.
Why haven't you yet recognized the Armenian, Assyrian, and Greek genocide that the Turkish did to that community? If you step foot in their country, they're supposed to arrest you. They're calling you a wartime criminal, the offenses you've done, they're calling it a genocide.
Yeah.
It's been a battle that's been going on for 3,500 years. So I'll have to do what we have to do. We'll fight with our fingernails.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Good to be with you, Patrick.
So I have a very simple open-end. The question for you. Why are you doing this podcast tour?
Well, number one, because
he's a fucking sick genocidal freak. That's why, because he's in love with the limelight, because the longer he can keep this fucking war going, the longer he can stay in power. That's why. Because he knows he can manipulate Donald Trump and every single person in his cabinet into undertaking exactly what Israel wants them to fucking undertake. That's why.
I heard that you invited me. Number two, because I think it's a way to puncture the lies and the vilifications that are leveled at Israel. And I think that's part of the, we have a 7-front war with Iran and its proxies, but this is the 8th front, the battle for truth. So that's why I'm doing it.
It's interesting when you say that, because when we look at a couple numbers, if we think about the Pew Research that came out a couple months ago on the unfavorability rate of Israel, they have you 24 out of 5. If I look at the number, Rob, I don't know if you have it to pull it up. If you look at
this was something that even surprised Netanyahu. I remember when fucking Patrick Bet-David actually brought this up on his podcast the first time. If it's the list that I think he's going to show, where it showed that like Elon Musk and Netanyahu were pretty much the most fucking unfavorable people on the planet. So I'm curious to see what Netanyahu has to say about this shit.
The numbers you would see. The 24-country medium is 62 to 29 being favorable. Why do you think so many countries are unfavorable of Israel today?
Oh no, excuse me. He's talking about country, the Israel as a country instead of Netanyahu as a person.
I think it's a combination of historical trends, but also of the impact of social media, especially engineered social media with paid bots, and this new media environment that we're in. It has built-in parameters that
again, folks, don't believe you lionized, right? Don't believe the protests. Don't believe the outrage online. Don't believe even the fucking the international media's reporting on this. Apparently, nobody's actually upset. It's all just bots online that are stirring up shit. It must be that hellscape Twitter that's responsible for all of this. But then he's going to go on and say that anti-Semitism is a problem. But apparently, don't believe anything that you hear about people being upset or angry with what Israel is now perpetrating upon the Palestinian people.
Really take their toll. So we're aware of that. But I think the most important thing is that for democracies to fight wars, they should be as short as possible. And my way of combating the PR war is by winning the ground war and winning it quickly. The quicker you win it, the better you'll come out of this assault.
So why do you think this has taken so long? Because if
I was going to say, then what the fuck you dragging your feet for, right? Why are you making it as destructive as humanly possible? Why are you starving as many people as humanly possible? Why are people being lured into fake humanitarian aid sites only to be shot by the IDF soldiers there? Or shot by these fucking fake humanitarian aid workers then? You know what I mean? Like, he's making this as destructive as fucking humanly possible.
You think a part of it when you think about there's, especially in America, there's 3 different types of people on social media right now or in America that follow you. One, they fully believe you're committing a genocide right now. They're part of the community that's thinking they compare you to some dictators, some terrible leaders in the past, many names you've heard of before.
Rightfully so.
Some of them are blindly supportive of what you're doing, but there's the other community that's almost a little bit burned out, that's wanting this story to end. Obviously, it's tragic. You know, we're seeing what's going on. We're seeing all the stories, but why do you think this is taking longer than it's taking?
Well, I don't think it's taken longer.
Why do you think it's taking longer than it's taking? What the fuck kind of question is that? What is that question? Why do you think it's taking longer than it's taking? Doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Than it's taking. Look at what we had to fight. We were attacked viciously by the most savage attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. That's by Hamas on October 7th. I said on the...
And look at the fucking exponential amount of death that you fucking perpetrated in response to that. Right? And rightfully so, we called out the horrendous acts on October 7th on this show. Rightfully so. As we should. But then one can only be, what, exponentially more outraged at what's happened since. You know, if you're living in reality and you're mad about one thing, and then that same thing is happening on a scale, the scale unimaginable and exponentially worse than what you were originally fucking so upset about, then it would only make sense that you would be even more upset. You would be more outraged at what we're seeing now. Because the death is on a scale so much worse. Because it is a man-made, purposely perpetrated famine being imposed. Like, this isn't fucking very hard to see. These aren't bots online that are just, don't listen to the bots online because what we're doing is supported by, the international community. Fuck that and fuck him.
Second day of the war, when Hezbollah joined the fray, I said we're going to change the face of the Middle East because it was clear to me, and it may be clear to you too.
I wonder if he's going to go on and tell a pretty big douchebag how he was originally supporting Hamas in order to keep the West Bank and Gaza separated, right? In order to keep chaos and discontent in the area in order to hold on to power. Is he going to tell douchebag about all the thing that he was doing to financially support these people to begin with? Is he going to tell them how some of these groups are being paid off to steal these aid trucks to make it look worse in the eyes of the international press? I wonder if he's going to release any of that information here. Is he going to talk about the double tap that they just had on Nasser Hospital, where another 5 journalists were killed, add to the other 230 something plus journalists? A war, again, where international journalists aren't even being let in. How we could get to a number that fucking high is outrageous. People just living in the area contracted by different media organizations because that's the only fucking option they have to get any video footage, to get any information out of the area that isn't stemming directly from the Gaza Health Ministry. It's fucking unreal.
That we're fighting the Iran axis. Iran, without Iran...
which you successfully dragged Donald Trump into, something that you have been dying to have happen, which is why this plan has been in place. Remember when we learned that this was like a decades-old plan that was put into place to strike these fucking facilities, to put a targeted strike on Iran? And they decided to dig that back out of the fucking files, dust that off, and use that now because, they knew we could get one over on Donald Trump. We knew he'd fucking participate in this.
I would say that all the axis, all the proxies collapse. Hezbollah collapses, Hamas collapses, Assad collapses, and so on. So it was clear to me that we had to topple the Iran axis and not just deal with Hamas. And what happened following that was that we went in Hamas is in its last breath. We haven't finished it yet, but
Hamas is on its last breath. Now, doesn't that go directly against, again, what was reported by the United States itself? That, in fact, they have probably had more people added to their ranks than they have lost? Again, because of radicalization, because of people losing their entire family structure and having nowhere else to turn. Right? Yeah, the ICC doesn't indict for being a good guy. Correct, Susie. Absolutely. Just another one of these people that is allowed free travel in and out of the United States when, in fact, those arrest warrants should be acted upon, just like the ones that should have been acted upon with Vladimir Putin. But again, it's even been said by multiple Israeli officials that they don't even believe it's a possibility to fully eradicate Hamas 100%. Yet that is the goal that they continue to push forth, right? When many of them have come out and said, no, it would be, we'd have to wipe out an astronomical amount of Palestinians in order to get anywhere near wiping out the totality of Hamas. And again, that's not something that we shouldn't want to see. I don't want to see people oppressed by anybody, neighboring countries or their own body of government. But I think we need to put out the biggest fires first. And the biggest fires that are being set right now are being set by the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu himself in the IDF military.
Hamas. Then we went and finished off Hezbollah, took out Nasrallah. That led to the collapse of the Assad regime, whose armaments we destroyed. The Syrian army's armaments. We dealt with the Houthis, still dealing with them. And then we had Iran itself.
Well, you're either dealt with them or you're still dealing with them. You can't have it both ways. Can't make it sound like you already finished the job when, in fact, you're still attempting to get that job done.
Us, and we had to strike back. And as you see, we changed the face of the Middle East. Not only because we hobbled the proxies, but because Iran, which was a totally invincible enemy, throwing its weight around.
Believe me, you guys changed the face of the Middle East a long time ago. A long time ago, you guys changed the face of the Middle East, and it hasn't been the same since.
Not only in the Middle East, spreading terror everywhere and trying to arm itself with nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles to deliver them.
There you go. There you go. Remember the clips that we played on this show of just how long Benjamin Netanyahu has been trying to get the United States to believe that all these fucking other countries are in the midst of having nuclear weapons. Oh, they got them. They're a week away. They're 2 weeks away, folks. Oh, we're a month away from annihilation, complete and total annihilation if we don't do something right now. Fucking 20 years later, he's still saying the same shit.
Struck them very hard. So when you fight these four fronts, and there are another three, by the way, that I haven't mentioned, when you're doing that, a small country, it takes time. But I think we're approaching the final leg, and that's really finishing off Hamas. We can't have those monsters at spitting distance from Tel Aviv and our communities, and we're going to finish it.
Yeah. So when you say that, for a person that lived in Iran, I look at the critics and they're giving, hey, let me tell you, it's not fair what he's doing with this. And you see ICC, which the average person, when they see ICC, 124 countries, that if you step foot in their country, they're supposed to arrest you. Okay.
Correct. Just like we were talking about in the chat. Same thing with Vladimir Putin.
Okay. And they're calling you a wartime
war criminal. Say it, you fucking pathetic little pipsqueak. Fucking say it. He's a war criminal. A war criminal. A war criminal.
Criminal, the offenses you've done, the amount of, again, like I said earlier, they're calling it a genocide. How do you answer to the critics that they don't follow politics? They don't follow the stories closely. But if they see... If they see 120 something countries that if you land there, they're supposed to arrest you, the average person is going to say, maybe this isn't a good guy.
Yeah, well, they said that about Churchill too. He was a warmonger when he was talking about the German axis and the danger to the West.
I'm sorry. What did you just try to put yourself in the same fucking position as Winston Churchill, but on the bad side of history? Right? And guess what? The people that said Winston Churchill was a warmonger at the beginning, the people that said he was crazy, inevitably ended up shaking his hand when he inevitably defeated the Nazis. Right? So guess what? Capitulating, negotiating with Mussolini and Hitler wasn't the way to go, which I'm assuming the people that you're talking about were the ones saying that. Right? Oh, he's a warmonger. He just wants to get us into another war. Well, guess what? He fucking won that war, motherfucker. Of course, with the help of the Allied, the Allied fucking militaries. But again, there was other people inside of the British government that wanted to sit down with Mussolini, that wanted to sit down with Herr Hitler and get the most favorable terms they possibly could. When it was Winston Churchill saying, no, we must fight. So don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare put yourself, and we can have the conversation about Dresden and Tokyo. More than willing to have that conversation. About the egregious bombing campaigns on civilians that was undertaken by the Allies. More than willing to have that conversation. But I think that's a just conversation to have, when in reality, Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to make this seem like it's not a just conversation to have.
You know, he said he warned of the slumber of democracies. And I guess if I learned one thing from our history, the history of the Jewish people, is that
yes, democracies that go down fighting will rise again. Those that capitulate are doomed forever. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. But I don't see that being the situation that you're in. I really don't. I see your country now having the power. Your country now being the bully. Your country now being the antagonist in the area. See how those things are different?
Can't sleep. When somebody says they're out to annihilate you, you better take it seriously and act to
like how you said you wanted a Jewish state from the river to the sea. Like you've said many times, like you've told people that this wasn't about the hostages. Even if the hostages were to be released, this is about the outright eradication of Hamas, which again would lead to the utter destruction of the Palestinian people, like we've seen.
Vetted. And that's the central lesson that we learned in the rebirth of the Jewish state and the Jewish people in Israel. We don't wait to be annihilated. We take forceful action against our would-be annihilators. And I think that...
Now, what was the argument that Hitler was using when things kicked off? Wasn't he trying to say that, like, German citizens in, the separated territories were being beaten, they were being mistreated, right? Isn't that the justification he used for, again, this sedation of the Sudetenland? When he walked into Austria, right? Isn't that what he's saying? Oh, our German people in this land, in this area, in that area, they're all being oppressed and abused, and that's why we need our land back. That's the justification I'm going to use. Sounds very similar. I thought I'd bring up that. It just seemed very similar.
People see it after you do it. After you do it. After you realize your vision, then people say, well, yeah, we begin to understand it. But they don't before, and that's certainly true of the case here.
It is, because less and less and less people see your vision as this goes on. More and more and more people are seeing this for the genocidal fucking war crimes that they are. So I think we're going the opposite way that you feel like you're going here, Chief. You're losing more and more support on an international basis with every single move that Israel now undertakes in that area.
In the United Nations, you have 180 countries, 190 countries, and a great majority would tell you that the earth is flat. It doesn't make it flat. And the vilifications against Israel is a country committing genocide and other war crimes. That doesn't make it true either. Let me tell you, did you ask me about the ICC prosecution?
Sorry, isn't the name of this, and I just want to check again, the name of this video you're seeing here, Israel's fighting your war. Netanyahu admits genocide. Am I reading that wrong? I'm pretty sure that spells Netanyahu. Pretty sure that capitalized word right there is admits. And then I'm pretty certain that next word after that, this one right here, is genocide. So Netanyahu admits genocide. Because I'm just confused. I'm just a little confused. Because it didn't seem to me like he just admitted to the genocide that he was engaged in. Just one more time.
Committing genocide and other war crimes. That doesn't make it true either. Let me tell you, did you ask me about the ICC prosecution just now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you about that. So we were going to have this ICC...
Yes, please, tell us how you're in the same category as Vladimir Putin. Go ahead, please, go ahead.
Prosecutor has since been basically put to pasture. This ICC prosecutor was going to come to Israel.
Here we
beginning of the
go.
war. And he said, well, Israel has, it has a proper judicial.
Now, this is just so everybody's aware. This is the Donald Trump routine of, oh, this fucking Democrat judge. These these judges are stepping over their boundaries. These judges. Oh, you can't trust these fucking liberal, crazed judges. These judges. This is what he wants you to believe.
System, and I don't see any real problem there. And he was about to come. And a
Pause.
day before he's about to come, he
Pause.
suddenly cancels the trip. And 2 days later, he issues this war crimes charge against me and the former defense minister. And we didn't understand, why did he do it?
No, you probably couldn't even understand why was this guy saying this? I couldn't even, came out of left field. And it's almost like the guy got some sort of evidence just prior to this trip that he was supposed to be taking that actually led him to this fucking outcome. So the fact that he canceled the trip and then decided to put this out there is really not the piece of the puzzle you think it is there, BB. And again, when you're bringing up people like Yoav Gallant in a certain situation, like with yourself, probably not the best move. Just going to go ahead and say that.
It took us months to discover that a few days before that, he was confronted by one of his staff members, a senior staff members, who brought the charges of rape and sexual misconduct that this prosecutor carried out against one of his staff members, a woman, a Malaysian woman, by the way, who was fiercely anti-Israel. But she had suffered this harassment and these rapes for over a year. And Khan believed that this was his ruin. His brother, who's a British parliamentarian, was in jail for sexual misconduct too. So he said, that's it, that's the end of me. And then he figured out that there's one way to get out of this, and that is to deflect the entire conversation, to preempt it by blaming the Jews and blaming the prime.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that two things can't be true at the same time, right? Because they can, right? This guy could be a fucking dirtbag for whatever he did behind the scenes, and he could still have justifiable evidence to suggest and corroborate the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is a fucking war criminal, right? So without knowing the exact fucking story behind whatever that prosecutor did behind the scenes, doesn't mean that Benjamin Netanyahu isn't guilty of war crimes. Just want to make that clear. So this whole thing, like, look over here at the bad shit that this guy did, which means, anything that I've done in my past must be fucking justified and forgotten. Ain't gonna work over here, pal. Right? So I can call out two scumbags at the same time. Again, for their egregious actions in whatever fucking realm of society it may be in. But again, that does not mean that there is not fucking justifiable, incredible evidence out there to suggest that Benjamin Netanyahu is absolutely engaged in a multitude of fucking different war crimes.
I'm minister of the Jewish state, and that's essentially what he did. Since then, you should know that there have been 4 or 5 other women who charged him with sexual misconduct. So what you have here is the ICC, which is a corrupt organization.
Now, let me just ask you a question. Has the ICC, have they rescinded that? Have they said, you know what, we've looked into this, and you're right, BB, the guy was just a dickhead. He was trying to cover up his crime. Or have they continued upholding this arrest warrant, which means there probably is more than one person that has looked at this and more than one person that has signed off on the fact that, yes, you deserve that warrant. Yes, you deserve the moniker of war criminal, right? You're trying to tell me that this is the one guy involved? This one guy is the only person that saw evidence, went through the investigation, and came out with the outcome of this report? I'm going to find that hard to believe. 8-Ball says that's not fucking probable there, Chief.
Totally politicized, unelected, that wants to, basically preempt the sovereignty of nations.
Oh, go after not only the prosecutor, but if that doesn't work with people, now he's got to attack the ICC itself, right? So then he's got to take away credibility from the ICC, because if you don't believe the first one, if you don't believe the second one separately, maybe, you believe a little bit of either of the stories, and that'll sway what you're thinking. But now he's got to try to do his best to, again,
and that's why the United States is not a member. They won't tell the United States that its soldiers are committing war crimes because some woke people in The Hague are telling you that. This ICC, this corrupt ICC.
What did he say about war crimes? What did you just say? Hold on.
War crimes because some woke people in The Hague are telling you that. This
woke people in The Hague, you know, that famously woke institution of The Hague. Can I get that one more time? Jesus Christ.
Basically preempt the sovereignty of nations. And that's why the United States is not a member. They won't tell the United States that its soldiers are committing war crimes because some woke people in The Hague are telling you that. This ICC,
I don't know what that means. I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what that means. Is he saying that it's the job? Who's what? The United States won't join because the ICC won't tell the United States military that they're committing war crimes? And the Hague is woke? I couldn't even piece together that bullshit. That's propaganda that fucking flies even over my head. I'm not sure. But again, just on his path to discredit the ICC. That's all this is trying to do. Again, nothing different than anything Vladimir Putin would come out and say against the ICC if he was asked the exact same questions.
Corrupt ICC prosecutor thought that he would escape justice by basically by condemning us. And that's what he's done.
What does that have to do with his justice? Why does condemning you as a war criminal get him off the hook as a fucking sexual assaulter or whatever the fuck he is? Where does 1 + 1 make 2 in this situation? How is that's gonna throw off the scent of the investigation as to his criminal activities pertaining to his fucking coworkers somehow by calling you a war criminal? Can somebody explain that to me? Anybody? Yeah, well, sir, we have been investigating you for the last 7 months for these sexual activities you've been engaged in with these women that have reported them. But unfortunately, we're going to have to throw that all out the door now. We're going to slip that case right under the rug because guess what? You just came out and said Netanyahu's a war criminal. That's how that works. Nope, you're scot-free. All set. I'll tell these ladies they have no case anymore because you said Netanyahu's a war criminal. That's how. Like, what? What the fuck? Like, what's stopping him from saying you're a war criminal and at the same time him being prosecuted for whatever wrongdoings he committed? You know?
And I think a lot of countries are waking up to that. It's sort of embarrassing when your chief prosecutor is doing such a corrupt and heinous thing. But that's the ICC. I mean, President Trump
Hey, guess what? Maybe it is embarrassing. But again, does not mean that you haven't engaged in the shit that they say you were engaged in and continue to be engaged in. Might very well be embarrassing for the ICC. Could very well be discrediting for that fucking prosecutor. But again, let's look at their findings. Let's look at the report. Let's look at the evidence. Let's look at the details. Fuck the people. I don't give a shit about the fucking people. Let's take a look at their findings. Let's take a look at how many people have been involved in putting together that evidence and putting together that report. Is it just the one guy? Because I'm going to go ahead and assume it's more than just one fucking guy that put these findings together.
Put sanctions on him.
Which is why he has to go further and try to discredit the entirety of the organization and not just the prosecutor.
And the judges who did this, I think he's just facing, that's what I like about him. He just cuts to the chase. This is a corrupt organization, a corrupt prosecutor, corrupt judges, and reminds me of that movie. You remember?
Reminds me of his talking points. That's why they get along. That's why they get along. They use the same tactics, the same techniques. If it's something you don't like, try to discredit that organization. If it's a person you don't like, try to discredit that person. If all else fails, call them anti-Semitic, right? If it gets all the way up to a judge and the judge rules against you, call the judge corrupt. It's got to be a corrupt judge, got to be a liberal judge. Well, you appointed that judge. Well, fuck. He must have gone liberal then since I appointed him, right? Just like Jerome Powell sucks. You put him in there. Well, fuck. Well, people have changed. It's like, well, what the fuck are we talking about here? What are we doing? We're seeing with our own eyes the atrocities being committed. I don't need the ICC to tell me that you're a war criminal. I don't need that prosecutor to prove to me that you're a war criminal. I know just from what I have seen that you are a war criminal. But again, this is his attempt to try to discredit in any way anybody going against him.
Network, I think.
Yes.
We're not going to take it anymore. And it's not just Israel, because if they target Israel and they say to a democracy defending itself.
You know what you should take is some fucking Abreva, dude, because that looks like one hell of a cold sore you're working on there. I know Abreva is expensive, but chances are you got it. You got the funds. I'm sure you've stolen enough. I'm sure you've embezzled enough over the years where you can afford a fucking a 0.02 ounce of Abreva for $35 fucking dollars. Look at that thing. Look at it on the right side. Looks like the fucking left side of his mouth's trying to run away from it. The goddamn thing's so big. You know who he got? You know who he got that? He probably got that from that Israeli. Yes, that. Yep. He probably got it from that Israeli official that was busted in that fucking child sex trafficking sting on the internet there, but then was afforded the ability to fly back to Israel without any charges being filed. That's probably where he got it. Makes sense. The guy that Netanyahu defended. Yeah, that guy. Remember the story we brought up here on Blunt Politics of that, Israeli official that was caught up in the fucking sting there with the crimes with the kids and sex on the internet there, and then was allowed to fly back to Israel with absolutely no charges being filed whatsoever. Yeah, that guy. I'm just assuming that's where he got it.
Against these savages, you can't defend yourself, then no democracy is safe, and America isn't safe. So I think that's come out. There is extraordinary vilification, extraordinary lies leveled at Israel, and they're meant to prevent us from exercising our legitimate right of self.
Do you have an example? Do you have what are these lies that are being spread about Israel? What are the lies that you have that you could specifically call out right now? What are the lies that you could, come out and say those are just unprovable and I can show you right here? What are the lies? What lies? Again, the aid trucks that weren't being allowed in. Again, the settlers sitting in front of the aid trucks. Again, the fact that countries now have to resort to airdrops. Again, an unsustainable, fucking, very insufficient way to provide aid to people. Again, something where you can't provide equity, which means people cannot, ensure that they're going to leave with something if they make the trek, the 10, 12, 20-mile trek to these sites sometimes through fucking war-torn areas that have battles still raging in them. Oh, shit. Am I out of time? Already? Scheiße. How did that happen? All right. Well, let's see where we left off here. So we got through about 11 and a half minutes. I'm going to write that down. Because we're definitely going to catch the rest of this. We're definitely going to catch the rest of this bullshit, because anything that this guy says, I want to make sure that I'm fucking calling out. I know that for sure. So we got through about 11 minutes, 30 seconds there. All right. So I appreciate you guys hanging around with me. I won't keep you any longer than I have to. I know you probably have other shows to watch, people to see, things to eat, that sort of stuff. So let me just make sure anybody get everybody on Venmo here. Once again, a huge shout out and thank you to Jesse Dollemore for not only hopping on the show, coming on as a guest, always lovely and a good time to get to chat with him, but also for his ridiculously kind contribution of 50 gifted memberships on his way out the door there, which was just fucking absolutely incredible for him to do. But thank you, Linda. Thank you, Teague. Thank you, David. And thank you, Robert, so much for your kind and generous contributions on Venmo. Thank you, JD, so much for your profanity bonus. I love the fucking profanity bonus. Cracks me up every time. Thank you, JD. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you, Arizona Sunflowers. Was even getting the comments read by Jesse at one point, man. Huh? How awesome is that? Appreciate that, Arizona Sunflowers. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate all of Jesse's work, as well as do we all. Thank you so much. Let's fucking go, Tim. I appreciate you so much. 13 months. Jesse and Brian, great collab. Britt with you next time. Ooh, I saw this and I kind of felt bad asking. I didn't want to be rude. And be like, oh, you couldn't bring Brittany? But no, we'll see if we can reach out and have a sit-down discussion, another discussion with Brittany Page, because she's, like Jesse was saying, fantastic as well. Those that aren't listening to the I Doubt It podcast, I would definitely recommend that as well. Robin, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Great question. Great fucking question. He's out there, but he ain't doing much. I can tell you that much. He's got words coming out of his mouth, but ain't much happening. Jeff Miller, thank you so much. We can't staff the VA, but ICE can give up to $50,000 signing bonuses. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Not only that, but the incredible boost that they're getting to their funding, per the next budget, right? Per Trump's shitty, moldy, decrepit bill. So you're absolutely right there, dude. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Ricky, for the 10 gifted subs. Let's fucking go. 10 gifted memberships for the channel is huge. I appreciate that so much, Ricky. Big day for Ricky. Big day for Ricky. Thank you so much. And then Robin, once again, with 5 gifted. JD with 5 gifted memberships. And here's where fucking Jesse popping in with a 50 banger. With a 50 banger. I appreciate that, Jesse, so much. I really do. It goes a long way in helping this channel. Really, really does. I hope you know that. I'm sure you do, because that's also what you do. But thank you, Jess. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Kristen, as well. A pneumatic hammer icon would be something we could work on. I'm not sure. Maybe we get like a, the hammer sound in there as well. But thank you, Kristen. I appreciate you being here for 17 months. Thank you so much. Stoneflower, what's up, brother? What's happening? Name change app for a minor born on the same date, approved by a district court in Minnesota in 2020, changing name of a Robert Westman to Robin A.B.C. Name change app for a minor born on the same date, approved by a district court in Minnesota in 2020, changing name of a Robert Westman to Robin A.B.C. What am I missing there? What am I missing there? So are the reports wrong? Is this a mistaken identity thing? Stoneflower, you still here? What do we... Fill me in. Fill me in where I'm missing this. He went by both names is what they said earlier. He went by both names is what they said earlier. Gay trans. That's where they get the story from. So that's what I'm saying. So is it the correct identity of the person, or is this like a mistaken identity where it just happened to be the same name as somebody else? No, that's what happened with the trans kid born in born a boy transformed into a girl from Rob. Oh, that's what I was suspecting anyway. Okay. All right. No, we're on the same page. That's what I was suspecting anyways. I just, for some reason, I had it in my mind because it's happened before where, two people of the same name, the report gets out there where it's this person, but it just so happens that they just had a similar name or the same name and it wasn't that person. You know what I mean? Hey, Mike, what's up, brother? I'm hopefully going home on Saturday. Let's fucking go. Well, we'd be praying for that to happen, if not sooner. If not sooner, would like to see that, but definitely by Saturday would be fucking great. That way you could be around for the Sunday show in a nice comfy bed at your own residence, which would be fucking great for us to hear. But thank you, Mike. I hope you're feeling all right. The best you could possibly be feeling at a time like this. But we're thinking about you, buddy. Sending you good vibes. Sending you good vibes. Jeff, thank you so much. Stasi, SS, KKK, Fox News, IDF. Spot the difference. Spot the difference. You'll be there for a while trying to spot it. But Jeff, you're absolutely right. I appreciate that. And the $2 contribution. Thank you, brother. And thank you, Zoe Beth. I appreciate that for your $10 contribution. I really, really do appreciate it. Everybody that contributes to this channel, whether it be through Venmo, which just for the last couple of minutes here, when we throw up on the screen. So there's a Venmo up here where if you take a picture with that with your camera, takes you right to the Venmo. You can send $1 or $2 over to, show your appreciation. And again, as Jesse always says, if it's if it's not me that gives you the most value, gives you the most bang for your buck, make sure you're supporting other people out there. Whichever creator does give you the most bang for your buck, make sure you're following fantastic people like Jesse and some of the other creators, fantastic creators that we have in this space that are bringing you the truth and the news every single day, honest and accurate reporting, because that's what we need more of. We need more representation here in the independent media section, because a lot of people say they're independent media, but they're really not independently run here at Blunt Politics. It is absolutely that way. You guys are 100% in control of how this show is funded, and I appreciate you for sticking with me, and I appreciate the support that you guys have shown and continue to show to this channel. People like Jesse Dollemore for continuously showing support for the channel. People like Hal Sparks, who is always willing to be there for a channel like mine and others. So thank you to everybody that's kind of had a hand in raising this channel's spotlight and raising us up on the stage here. So I appreciate it. I know it takes a village for this to happen, and without the mods, without Mel behind the scenes doing everything that you don't see here, or everything that I'm not saying on camera on a microphone is pretty much done by Mel. And again, without the mods keeping that chat a safe place, none of this would be possible. So thank you to all you guys who work very hard and sacrifice a lot of your time for this channel. I just want you to know it is very, 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 very much appreciated, every single one of you. So I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific here on the West Coast. Make sure you're hitting that like button on the way out. We are on our way to 15,000 subscribers. It would be a really, really great milestone to hit, and then on to 20 from there. And then who knows the ceiling? Who knows where the ceiling is after that? So I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, mods. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody that subscribed. Thank you, everybody that liked. Thank you to everybody that donated. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Find that rally that's nearest you. Find that protest that's nearest you. Get out there. Stay loud. Stay proud. Stay aggressive. Keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're staying safe out there. But continue to keep kicking ass. All right, ladies and gentlemen, kick some ass out there. Let's fucking go. Until tomorrow, fuck ICE. Slava Ukraine. Free Palestine. All the good stuff. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Peace. See where this is now. It's got to be around here somewhere. I think it's where it is. Oh, and don't forget, while I still have everybody in here, that Sunday we'll be talking to ex-NFL player Chris Cluey, running for in seat here in Orange County. So make sure you're tuning in Sunday. Then next Tuesday we get a chance to talk to Michael Fano. Let's fucking go. Hit that like on the way out. I appreciate it. Thank you, baby. Appreciate that.
The name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see? Revolution
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful out. Give yourself some round of applause. It's so lovely. Everyone's so lovely. Where you going? Nowhere.
Thank you so much, Ricky. Appreciate that.
They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late.
Go fuck yourself.
Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
underpants. What in the hell was that all about? He says rectum damn near killed him.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
My superpower's being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.